What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some big news about how President Trump and the White House may have increased tariffs to about 245% on China, how this may affect the market moving forward. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, right now the market is dipping just a bit, and we may dip a bit more, but we'll have to see how well we hold supports because we haven't lost critical support on SPY or the QQQ quite yet, despite this news. But anyways, we're seeing a lot of news coming out that the President Trump administration has essentially hiked tariffs on Chinese imports to the US up to about 245%, according to the White House. As of yesterday, they did make this announcement. So, this is some big news that's come out. President Trump signed an executive order launching an investigation into the national security risks posed by American reliance on imported critical minerals and their derivatives. And this is some big news. This is happening in response to the fact that China is banning some exports on particular rare minerals, and we're just continuing to see, this coming out. There is this quote from the fact sheet about how China is now facing up to a 245% tariff on imports as a result of its retaliatory actions, according to the White House. So this is some big news, at least so far. I will go over whether or not President Trump has verified this. I mean, I just want to say that I did go over his Truth Social page. He hasn't denied this so far. This is so far what we're seeing from the majority of mainstream sources. And also, many credible sources are saying this as well. The US China trade war has intensified as the US is now going to be imposing 245% tariffs on imports from China after its retaliatory actions. This is according to the White House statement. President Trump is also signing, security risks executive orders, so keep that in mind. There's also been some news about how, right now, President Trump's administration are negotiating with lots of different countries. Today, they're going to be negotiating with Japan. But as of right now, we're not really seeing negotiations with China for the time being. We're continuing to just see these tensions rising. China have mentioned that they are willing to talk to the US, but they want respect from President Trump. That's exactly what they said. So we're going to see how this ends up going. They are willing to negotiate if President Trump shows them respect. That's what they are saying so far. And then with everything going on with all these tariffs and this trade war for the last couple of years, especially from like this year, we've been seeing a big decline in China's share of imports to the US as we're seeing big tech companies and lots of different companies that are trying to depend more on like Vietnam, Taiwan, and smaller countries. You guys can see that how their share is actually starting to go up, and China's share is beginning to go down with higher tariffs being imposed. That's what President Trump has said that he wanted because he doesn't want the US to be overly reliant on China. President Trump also criticized China for the way in which they treated U.S. farmers, claiming that they've been very brutal. And he mentioned that he's doing this to protect the U.S. farmers and such. He also has said that Japan is coming today to negotiate tariffs, the cost of military support, and trade fairness, but I haven't heard him mention anything about China just yet. So I know that President Trump has come out and said, like, even when we've had the White House say things, there's been times when he ended up saying that, news is not real. That happened before with the tariff exemptions. So I'm just trying to like call out his Truth Social page to confirm that we haven't heard anything about him denying anything like this, right? So far, this news seems legitimate. We're seeing this all over, um, mainstream news and also from very credible sources. And it appears that the White House has confirmed this. So I just want to make that very, very clear by just trying to check this over. Anyways, two more things. Today is Wednesday. Keep in mind that we had retail sales, which are all very close to expectations. We did see a slight decline in industrial production, at least from some of that data. And I think we're getting the numbers right now. We're going to be looking to see what happens with the reaction once we get this manufacturing numbers priced in. But then as the day goes on, we do have Jerome Powell giving a speech at 1:30 p.m. Even if the market does dip a little bit, Jerome Powell could still launch us either up or down. He could cause a big bounce, so it depends on what he ends up saying. So all hope is not lost for bulls quite yet. ASML also announced earnings today. They had a little bit of a miss in their revenue, but their EPS was decent. And then the share price is down because of the fact that they are very uncertain about the tariffs right now. That's why the share price is down. Anyways, that was a lot, guys, but that's pretty much a summary of the news so far. Okay, so what's going on right now with the chart? Okay, so as far as SPY is going, we're going to be looking at some very, very key levels right now. We're looking at that support at 530, at least for the time being. Watch 530. That's going to be a very, very critical level for SPY. If that fails us, we could be dipping closer to like 525, and we have to see if each of those supports hold. So watch 530 and then 525. To balance, you want to get back above 535. If we, break and hold that, then I'm looking for essentially 542 as our target if we get back above 535 and hold it. Okay, so those are going to be your key levels to watch for. What do I think is going to happen right now? My prediction is we might actually dip a little bit more towards 530. We'll just have to see how well we hold. If it doesn't hold 530, we could dip a little bit more. But as long as we don't lose like 524 to 525, this could still see some kind of rebound. Of course, it depends on what Jerome Powell says and other big figures. So the question is, where does SPY base? Can we hold 530? Do we hold 525? I'll be watching that very closely. I do anticipate a bit of a decline that could be coming. I think we might be retesting 530, if not below that, but then we'll see if we bounce or not later on, depending on what Jerome Powell says at 1:30 p.m. Okay, so watch 530 to see if we bounce. If not, if we don't base there, we could be dipping a little bit lower towards like 525, and we'll have to watch and see how well we could base at those levels. On the QQQ, if we reclaim 453, we're looking for essentially 460. And if we end up losing essentially 447.5, we're looking for a dip to 444. So I think we might be retesting 447.5, if not 444, and we'll have to see if we bounce off these levels. So be very, very careful, especially as we're showing some weakness near 447.5. I think we may decline a little bit more, so watch and see how well we hold up, especially as we're making lower highs here. The QQQ might dip a bit towards 447.5, and we'll see what the reaction happens to be like. For the IWM, we have support at 184, and we have resistance at 188. If we lose 184, we're looking for 182 to 180, and we'll see if we bounce or not, so be very careful. But we might decline a bit. Now, ES is still holding up decently, but here's the thing about it. We're watching to see if we could hold 5350, if not 5300. If we lose 5300, we're going to be at risk of tipping more towards like 5250. And we have a gap over here. So if we could get back above like 5400, I'm looking for some kind of bounce move. But I anticipate in the beginning, we might be retesting 5350, if not the low 5300s, before we see some potential bounce. If we see the buyers defend 5300 or not, I'll be watching that. So make sure you watch those levels just to be safe. But we have 5350 and 5300 as our main supports. For NQ, we're making lower highs right now. If we end up losing basically 18,500, we're looking for a dump back down towards 18,400. And if we get back above 18,750, we're looking for an attempt to fill this gap up here. So from the way I see things, we might be dipping back down towards the support around 18,500. We'll have to see if we bounce or not off of that. So be careful. Might be a small decline, and then we'll see what the reaction is if we continue to fall and lose that support. On Bitcoin, I'm anticipating 83,273 to be tested. If that doesn't hold, we're looking for 82,500. And we'll have to see if we could hold between 82,500 and 83,273. We'll see if we bounce off those levels or not, but I do anticipate some decline. For Tesla, we're also dipping a bit. We're looking to see if we could hold around this 244 area. If that fails us, we're looking for 240. We also want to reclaim 251 to rebound. My anticipation is that this is going to be dipping back down for essentially 245, if not below, and we'll have to see if we get a rebound or not off these levels, especially if we reclaim like 250, we're going to be looking a lot better. For now, look for Tesla to decline towards 244. As long as we don't lose 240, we're going to be fine. We're still technically range bound. So basically, if you lose 240 on Tesla, we're bearish. If you break 255, we're more bullish. We might be declining to 244, if not as low as 240. And we'll see if we bounce or not off that level. So be very careful. For Nvda, we have an inverse head and shoulder structure. This is showing some weakness here. We're going to be watching to see if 103 holds or not. If we don't hold 103, we dump to basically 100 or below. If we hold 103, we have to reclaim 107. If 107 is reclaimed, we should try to see a bounce. So with that being said, we also have Aapl kind of tipping here. We're looking for 197 to see if this holds or not. So we'll just give that some time. And then for many others, keep in mind that the market's still in a critical place. If we lose this support, we could be declining back down towards 195. So we'll see if this holds as well. For coin, we still have an inverse head and shoulders, but we could decline towards 170, if not 167. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. We're running out of time here. I'll be back later on. Have a good one and peace out.